Alright guys, so here's where we're at today. Still getting ready to pull this motor. We're still working on getting it pulled. So far what we've done is we've removed the fan shroud that was here, the fan and clutch plate that was here. There was an electric fan that also is attached to the fan shroud. So we've opened up the front end here. We've removed the serpentine belt across here, and we're creating our bubble to work in over here. You guys can kind of see. So what I've done at this point is I've removed the coolant hose here. This goes across over to there, to that thing. That one was broke, so whatever. So anyway, there's a hose that goes there. And then we pulled what is that? That is the air conditioner here, down in here. It was sitting here, part of that serpentine. So that exposes the motor mount that's there. And then of course this is your steering linkage. We ain't got to mess with any of that. The next thing we got to do is go in here through the fender well and get that heat shield out of the way so we can get to the exhaust brackets down there. So here's where we're at under the fender well. So I've pulled the inner fender lining, and it's a big pile of parts behind me. And so we're going to go after that heat shield next, and then go after those exhaust where the catalytic converter attaches to the header here. The header's underneath that, and then that would be your cat. But we've got to unhook the O2 sensor that's right there. You can see it. It comes up there and plugs in. And I think we're going to pull this dipstick off too. I don't know, maybe not. Trying to figure out, what I don't have to take off, because there's no point in taking stuff off if I don't need to make more work on myself. And then we have to start on the other side. I've done nothing to the other side, and there's a lot going on over there. So once we got this side squared away, then I'm going to pull the plenum and the intake plenum. I've seen some people don't pull these. They don't take the plenum off for the intake. They leave it on with the throttle body and pull the whole motor up like that. But I've also seen other people that take this off, and it seems like it might be easier to access on the backside. There's two bolts that are right on the top of the bell housing for the transmission. So we'll have to get to those, and the best way to do that, I think if I pull this off, obviously all the wiring harness is loose, at least on this side all of this is unhooked. I got to unhook all this. So I'm going to pull this whole harness loose and take it over across and then just let it flop over there somewhere. But yeah, so we're going to pull the plenum. And then on this side, I've got a bunch of radiator hoses still attached. I had to get to take this one loose to get the whole fan shroud out. But I'm trying to keep stuff kind of together. Also, guys, do yourself a favor. If you ever do this thing, label your plugs, because there's a hot mess of them. There's a bunch. So it does yourself a favor. Also, when doing things like this, if you can replace bolts, you don't lose bolts. Put them where they kind of go originally. Just one of them things that I've done over the years. So yeah, so then we have to come down into here, and we got to pull the power steering pump, and the alternator is way down there. Got to pull the alternator off, and some of these coolant hoses and things like that that are still attached. Fortunately, like this is the power steering, I don't have to pull that off. Like these hoses, you can leave all these hoses attached to the units, and that way you don't have to really worry about it. You just tuck the whole thing up over here out of the way, and then you don't have to mess with it. So yeah, we got that, and of course there's a bunch of on the back. There's a bunch of you got your two cam sensors. There's one there, and there's one over here on the back side of the motor. That's for your cam, for your head here and your head here. Then as we come over here on this side, underneath all this, so what we will do is we're going to leave these hoses attached because they're actually part of the motor. I can just disconnect them. I won't have to mess with them until later, till I'm ready to rebuild the motor. But right now I'm trying to leave as much of this intact as I can before I yank this thing up out of here. And yeah, so the backside, like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on over here. It's a hot mess. So this is the passenger side in the inner fender well. As you can see, there's where the alternator would be power steering pump. Again, we've got another heat shield over here that's a pain in the ass to get to. It looks pretty like straightforward, but some of these, I guess if you got a swivel head ratchet, it helps a lot on all this stuff. So there's the O2 sensor, and again, it's a plug there. The cam sensor is back there on the transmission. I don't know if you can see that. Kinda, sorta. It's back in, right in there would be where that's at. And there's a, what is that other, oh, there's a knock sensor up there, and I think one of the coolant sensors is back there too. But yeah, so all that's got to be unplugged and taken care of. Get the heat shields out, get the exhaust done. We're about halfway at this point of getting this motor pulled. So that'll be fun if I can finish this up, and then we're going to hopefully yank this motor tomorrow morning.